Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Thursday Live. I am Denise Armenio, and I have Claire McIntyre with me. And we are very excited to see everyone again this week. And we are here to go over and do some Genius training and also to do a scan on a volunteer. So thank you for Jennifer for being our volunteer today. I'm going to get started. If anybody has any questions, you can please put your questions in the comment section and I will get to you, or Claire will get to you. So I'm just going to start sharing my screen. And here we are. Jennifer, would you prefer me not to share when I put your credentials in, or are you okay? You want to put your credentials, your birthday and everything in the chat, and then I'll pull that out. I'll stop sharing for a minute. Okay, and I got your birth date, so just hold on. Okay, so now we can start sharing. Just getting my chat boxes and all the little side things in place here. Okay, so this is the first after we enter in the person's credential, and if you didn't already have a client record set up, you would have set that up by putting in the first, last name, birth date on the first page. I didn't show that so that we can protect our volunteers' personal information. So anyway, on this page is where you would write down, what's going on, what you want to work with, any specific issues. So Jennifer, just briefly, I know we just spoke a minute ago and you're pretty okay. How would you rate overall how you're feeling on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being severe?
I probably about a 5. I am having some shoulder and arm issues going on. I went to the chiropractor on Monday and he said I got some like minor tear stuff going on. I fell in the shower like about a month ago and it's like residual kind of pain.
Okay, so let's work on that. That would be, I have some great shoulder stuff to work on. So your shoulder is a 5 out of 10?
Yeah, 5.6. 5.6.
I'm going to put it as a 5.5.
Okay.
Put it right in the middle. And then overall, you're saying is a 5? How you're feeling?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't feel too bad and I don't feel great.
Okay. Is there anything else you want me to add?
No, I feel pretty good other than that, I think.
Any of the main pain points on here? Doesn't have shoulder, but I'm going to put painful joints because your shoulder is a joint.
Back pain, neck pain. That's always
in there.
My back's, yeah, fusing together.
Okay. And no, well, I guess I'll put muscle aches because that's in there.
Hormones, menopause.
Those aren't options in here. But we'll work with all that. We'll fit in hormones. Okay. So everybody, this is just generally how I would take notes. It will always be here. If the client is going to come back for a next session, you can go into the edit client records and then you could just update this information. So anyway, that is what we add in first. And now we're going to go to the voice recording. So in just a second, I'm going to record Jennifer's voice. I'll count you down and say 3, 2, 1, begin. And then just repeat the vowels A, E, I, O, U several times until the 15-second counter gets to 0. Okay. So 3, 2, 1, begin.
A, E, I, O, U, 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 A, E, I, O, U.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Okay, so then the next thing I always recommend is that you listen to the voice harmonics. That's basically listening to how the genius has translated what your spoken word into a frequency. And it does have some health benefits. It works kind of like a homeopathic, so like cancels out like. So it is beneficial to listen to it. Okay, so now I'm going to hit next, and you could hear the sound, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Do you want to get on screen for a picture, or do you want me to just bypass? Whatever you're comfortable with. I know this was last minute for you.
Can you see it? Am I on
Oh,
it?
yeah,
Or...
I see it now. I'll get it quick. Okay, I got it. Okay, so here's the picture. We could edit it just a little bit just to get some extraneous stuff out of that, and just hit done. And now I could hit begin. Okay, and we can just continue. The genius now asks you for an energetic affirmation. I always like to fill this in. It is optional, but what happens is similar to our voice, how the genius translates our spoken word into a frequency. The genius also translates our written word into a frequency. So right here, when I put in an affirmation, it will translate that into a frequency, and that frequency will be overlaid throughout the session. So I'm just going to hit yes. Is it okay for me to use the one that I always use, or do you have something that you would like to use?
I would like to use I am as perfect as the moment of my creation, and so it is.
As perfect as the moment of my creation. Wait, somebody's coming in. I'm as perfect as the moment of my creation. That was it, right? And so it is.
Yes.
I don't know why my isn't working. What's going on here? Oh, there we go. Okay, so you just hit okay, and now that the frequency of that affirmation will be overlaid. So now I'm just going to hit begin. Okay, so there are your hormones that are out of balance. So you know yourself so well. So we're just gonna I'm gonna scroll right down to the biofield where the aura is, so we can get your before aura picture before we get on a tangent and don't look at that. So I'm just gonna click that, and I dragged it in by accident, and I'm just gonna hit begin analysis. Okay, so I'm up at the top right, it says hide avatar. I like to do that so that we can see what's behind it. The avatar is a little bit big. So basically on our aura, what we're looking for is bright, vibrant colors. We also want, uh, like right now it looks a little blurry or a little dirty. That could represent stagnant energy. It could also be an indication of interference or some negative energy and entities in there. The center is a nice bright blue color, so that's good. It's a little dingy as we move a little bit further out, but we'll work on that for you. Ideally, you would want one color showing all the different layers. That would suggest you're more integrated. A lot of times you'll see it like maybe alternating colors, and that's a sign of integration. And here you do have a bit of the blue colors in here. So that's, if this integrates more, I would guess that's kind of where you would be headed. And then we can switch to the old version, and it just gives us a similar but different information. And on a very basic level, what I always tell everybody is that you want to see all four corners filled with color. When it's filled with color, that suggests that you are grounded and in your body. Now, although some of the color in the corner here is a little bit dingy, there is color there. So you are grounded, so that is good. Maybe lifting a little bit over here as new energy is coming in. But hopefully that will improve throughout the session. This like the white center is just a formatting thing. I think it's really just on MacBooks, which is what I'm using right now. So that might not show up for you if you're using an iPad or a phone or even on an Android. But on the MacBook, that is showing up. That just is normal showing up there. So anyway, again, on the old one too, ideally you would want one color, bright, vibrant. You can see on here that like grayish or darkish overlay. We want to try to clear that as best we can. Okay, so now the first thing I want to talk about before we get into an actual scan is what the numbers and colors mean. So the Genius uses a numerical value system from 0 to 777, and that range is divided into 4 sections. And the low section goes from 0 to 200, and that is represented by the color blue. And blue is observed to be chronic energetic disturbances. That could also represent stagnant energy, under energy, and also items in this range are causing some form of a stress, a crisis on the body. So areas in this range are areas that are more than likely an underlying cause to whatever else is going on throughout your body and your biofield. The next range goes from 201 to 450. That's represented by the color green. Then we go 451 to 600. That's represented by the color yellow. And lastly, the high range goes from 601 to 777. That is represented by the color red. Items in this range can also be referred to as heat or inflammation, over energy. And these items in this range are causing a stress on the body. So the highs are a stress on the body, and the blues are causing a crisis on the body. It's also important to note that all of these are showing some form of imbalance when they're high and they're low. So in other words, when you're looking at vitamins or minerals or things like that, a low number doesn't mean you're deficient, and a high number doesn't mean you have too much. It just means it's out of balance and for how long it's been out of balance for. the other thing that people want to know is, well, okay, the reds and the blues are definitely out of balance, but what is in balance? And so that really depends on the user and what intention that they hold. For me and a lot of other practitioners, we use a tighter range. So for me, anything between 400 and 600 is is considered balanced. So that would be all your yellows, and then the top portion of your greens. So between 400 and 450 on your greens. But otherwise, your greens could also be looked at as a low, kind of like the blues. They're not quite blue, but they can get there if they're not balanced. So that is a little explanation there. For those of you that are starting out, though, I would just not confuse yourself. Keep it simple in the beginning and just work with the reds and the blues. And that also allows you to work with the quick balance, which is down at the bottom. And that's just a nice little feature. You have the timer for it on the side, but if you really don't know what to do and you want to get it balanced, you just put adjust the timer on the right hand side to however many minutes you want to run the frequencies and hit quick balance, and anything on the screen that shows up as red or blue, the Genius will run those frequencies. So it's a really nice, simple way to use the Genius without having to, in the beginning when you really don't know what to do or you may become overwhelmed, just use the quick balance and let that work for you. The other thing I just wanted to show you is on the left-hand side, you see these little like down arrows or chevrons in yellow. That's there. So you can click on those and it will tell you what's beneath. So in other words, we see hormones as sort of like a library or panel. That's what we would refer to it as. And if you click on that, now you see all the different hormones and the numbers, and then this little like magnifying glass. If you click on it, will give you a little explanation. So if you were unsure of what the hormone is, so let's just say cortisol, and we clicked on it, it's a stress response hormone and it's produced in the adrenals. So it just gives you a little bit more insight on what's going on. Most people, though, however, I click on the line itself and it gives you all the same information. It's just laid out differently. So it's kind of easier to understand it when you look at it quickly because you're seeing all the colors. So you know right away which ones you have to work with. And also this plus button or crosshairs to the left of the main hold tray and quick zap allows you to add the red items, the yellow items, green items, blue items, so you don't have to drag them all one by one. So it's a nice way of knowing what you're dragging into the tray when you use this view. Okay, so that gives you a little explanation of what the numbers and the colors mean. Now I'm going to go through and tell you what steps I take when I run a scan. My first two steps are always the same. And then my third step is always working with the symptoms that we're trying to address. So my step one is just sending the body, or the vessel, we like to call it, all the vitamins, minerals, amino acids, anything that your cells would need in order to hopefully bring the cells into homeostasis. And then also the other thing that's really important is to work with everything in the biofield, because that's our energy field and we want that to be 100% intact, because if that's intact, then it's going to protect our physical body. So if you're on trial or you just have the basic version of the Genius, you can just add all items from the biofield into the main hold tray, and then also from the body section, you can add in your minerals, amino acids, and vitamins. And that could be your step 1. I have a library that I created that has all those things plus a few extras. So I'm going to go there and show that to you. It also allows me to show you how I work with custom libraries. So I'm going to go down and click custom libraries. Okay, and now we can hit begin analysis. Okay, so this little like black pull in the center brings down a search bar, which is really nice. Gives you different ways to view your custom libraries. I have a lot, so it's really helpful to have different ways to view it. I know the library I'm going to use. It's part of the bioterrain master branch. And the first library panel in this master branch is the vessel priming frequencies. I've also indicated to begin or start there. So I just recommend you can click on the library title and you could just drag it down, and it includes all the items and the library title name, just for reference in case you're wondering why it adds one more item in there. We can also look at all those items by clicking the up arrow. If you wanted to remove anything, you could do that by Xing the item out. It would be tedious to do it that way, but you could definitely do it that way. I'm also going to add, I know it says finish here, but sometimes I like to add in the good bacteria, which it's not letting me drag and drop it. So I'm just going to click on it and I'm just going to add all these items. And if you're wondering why I'm adding all the items, it's because on some things that I want to make sure that are really important that your body has all of the frequencies, I add them all, because even though they may be yellow and okay, when we look at it at the library, the genius at this point has just looked at that one specific item, and that one specific item, its frequency against your energy field. And then it gives you a value to know if it's in balance or out of balance. But when we add items to the main hold tray, the Genius does something different now. And it uses algorithms, and it looks at the relationship of all the items that are in the main hold tray. So what that means is when the item looked at by itself against your energy field may be fine and it may be happy and balanced well, but when it's around other frequencies, it may not be happy anymore. Maybe something that was in balance when you look at it isolated by itself, like in a vacuum, isn't that way when it's around other energies. So because these are all so important, I don't want to miss anything. So I just clicked on, like, it looked like the play button on the main hold tray on the bottom, and that brings us to the progressive insights page. And this is where we run the analysis, and it will look at the relationship of all the items that was added to the. Okay, so typically I usually always start, and I'll move the timer to 1 minute, and I'll select all, and I'll run all the frequencies for 1 minute. Okay, so at the bottom, you can see that the average percent rectification is 18%. That's on the low side. Usually 20 to 40% is considered good. Anything above 40% is considered excellent. Also, the other thing I want everybody to get into the habit of looking at are the 3 percentages that make up that average percent rectification. And I want you to look at the lowest percentage, which in this case is 7%, and the highest percentage, which is 26%. I don't really like that range to be greater than 20, personally, in my observation. The bigger the range, the less stable all those items are, meaning that if another energy comes into your field, everything can get thrown out of balance easier. So the tighter that range, 20 and below, it's more stable, and it won't, get out of balance as easy. Because this is a low number, I'm going to rerun this, but it may be too many frequencies for you. So I'm going to deselect all, and I'm just going to select low first, and we'll run that for 30 seconds, and we'll see how you do with that. Maybe in smaller chunks will be better for you. So as you can see, the highs and the mediums are not checked off, only until we get to the lows. Great. So you did really well when we chunked it down into smaller pieces. So you can see, well, first you got the little excellent here because it's above 40%. The average percent rectification is 62. And then the range goes from 56 to 68. So you're right. What is that, like 12? The range is 12. So that's awesome. Really happy with that. So now I'm going to deselect the lows, and I'm going to select the highs. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. And we'll run those for 30 seconds. So you did really great again. So the average percent rectification is 66. That's amazing. And it goes between 62 and 75. So again, that's within that 20% window. So that's awesome. I'm just looking at, and Callie, I'm curious of the unique shapes, which setting it is. The shapes look different on the MacBook for some reason. You mean when I'm running the frequencies, like the little circles with the dots? I don't know why I don't know what setting to tell you it is. It just happens with the MacBook, because I don't have my graphics turned on. So it's just how it shows up. So sorry, you're getting a MacBook if you want to see those. Okay, so we did great. Jennifer did great with the lows and the highs. I'm just going to rescan. And I'm going to select all again and just run it for 30 seconds. Maybe we can get some of those ones in the middle. did great now, again, with all of the items combined. So that's good. And Callie, yes, Claire just answered your question. If you, the only laptop that you can use is the MacBook Air or Pro that has the M1 chip or later, which is really any of the newer Macs, because the newer Macs are already on the M2 chip. But the reason why you can use it on the Mac is because the Mac with that chip allows you to have apps. But you couldn't do it on a Windows. It would have to be an Android platform or iOS platform. So Callie, yeah, if you have a MacBook Pro and it's one of the newer versions, you can install the Genius app on it. So that'll be fun, and you'll get all the pretty circles and shapes. Okay, so now that we, Jennifer got great rectification here, I'm going to arrow back to the system overview page. I'm going to clear out the main hold tray. And now is my step 2. So for step 2, we work with the general overview. And the general overview, this is one of my favorite steps, actually. It takes all the items from the system overview and all the line items from all of the libraries I have, which is a lot. And instead of having them all in different libraries or categories, it puts it all in one list. And this way we can see from bottom to top or top to bottom, however you want to view it. You can see all your blues that are out of balance. And to me, that's really important, because those blues are probably all your root causes or underlying causes. Now, it doesn't mean it's all of them, because depending on, what libraries you have and how many you have, you're not going to be always have all frequencies available to you, because there's an infinite amount. But with what you have to work with, you will have the root causes or underlying causes. So in order to get to the general overview page, you simply just click on System Overview. And my libraries are included in there. It starts with the highs. I like to switch that. So right up at the top, you see it really tiny. It's 0 to 100. I'm just going to click on that, and it will give me the reciprocal view. So now I can look at all the lows. So, and these are all the things that you would really want to work on. Now, in energy work or in quantum physics, anything can cause anything. So it's not important that we try to find like the why that one thing or what that's related to. Just that frequency is out of balance. It's been out of balance for a longer period of time, and that hopefully correcting that will help have like a domino effect and bring other things back into balance. So I had a lot of blues are going to show up here because I have so many different line items. So I'm just going to work with the bottom 50, and I'm going to work with both the reds and the blues. If we had more time, I would probably separate them, but due to time's sake, I'm going to include them. So I'm also going to add the top 50 reds. And then I'm going to remove my libraries. And now we're just looking at the system, all the items from the system overview. And now I can select all my blue items. And it'll put me a little bit high on the amount of items in the main hold tray, but we're not going to run them for that long. So it's okay. So I'm going to also add the red items. So I have about 359 items, and that includes all the reds and all the blues from the system overview page. So that's, you're working with everything that you really need to work with on the system overview page. And then all the top 50 and bottom 50 of what I have in my library collection. Okay, so again, I work the same way. I'm going to move the timer to 1 minute. I'm going to select all. We might have to chunk this down into smaller groups again, but we'll try and see what happens when we run all of them for 1 minute. Okay, and look at you, you're cooking right along. You did great. 71% rectification on all 359 items, and it goes from 60 to 78. So again, that's within that 20%. I'm really happy with that. Because of time, I'm going to move on so we can get to your step 3. Otherwise, I would rescan this and then just run the highs and the lows for 30 seconds. But because you did had such a high percent rectification, I'm not going to do it this time. I'm going to go to the main hold tray again and clear this out. I do like to check in though after step 2 because just to give the client a way to realize how just these first 2 steps can be really powerful. So Jennifer, if you could just check in, and you had your shoulder, and an arm or neck at like a 5.5 or 6 out of 10. Does it still feel the same, or has it loosened up at all?
I want to say it feels more relaxed.
Okay, but the pain
Uh,
is,
It's still painful, but I don't feel like as tight and as um, tight, I guess. I don't know how to
okay.
explain it. Stiff.
Okay, great. So there is some shifts going on, so that's great. So now I am going to go, and we're going to go into my custom libraries, and I'm going to work with the pain library and human body to deal with the muscles, tendons, nerves, to see if we can work and get some of that pain out. So we're in this library panel. Again, I'm going to add all the reds, greens, and blues, since yellows are sort of balanced. And now I'm going to go to human body structure. Whoops. Okay, and I'm going to look here to see which panels are blue. I'm still going to look for shoulder and arm and things like that. Even though it's green overall, it doesn't mean the elements inside, the items inside, you're going to have blues and reds. But I always like to look down to see what's low. So your shoulders, arms, muscles, and the spinal nerves is really low. So that we're definitely going to add right away. And I'm just going to add that whole panel in there. Shoulder balance. So I'm going to add all of that in there for you. I'm going to work with the veins because I want to make sure that you're getting all oxygen to these areas. So I'm just going to work with the reds and the blues here. And then I just want to see what else I think we want to gonna work with the cartilage. Okay, so I'm just gonna work with those. I just want to see if I thought that there was another library for shoulders. Hold on just a second. Oh, the ligaments. Could do shoulder affirmations. Okay. So I'm just going to run the analysis. And again, I'm going to run all of the frequencies for 1 minute. You had a 45% rectification. That's excellent. And again, the 3 percentages above go from 41 to 53. So that is right in there. How are we for time? How did that help any of the pain on your shoulder?
Yeah, it did. I'm definitely down to about a 3, maybe,
Awesome.
which is good.
That is really good. I'm just going to rescan. Okay, so I'm going to move the timer to 0 so we can run it for 30 seconds. And I'm going to select the highs and the lows for you. And how's that? Any additional shift?
No, not additional,
Okay. But still, if you're going from a 5.5 to 3, you're at least, like a 20-25% change. So that's great. Let's go to the main system overview page and see what your aura looks like. If it's changed. Okay, so you can see it started getting brighter already. It's looking much better. It's still a little blurry in there, but it's much cleaner than it looked before. And this looks better too. You look a lot more grounded. I would just to close this out, what I like to always do is I'm just going to add in your neurotransmitters, and I'm just going to go to the custom libraries and work on just giving you a little grounding. So I'm just going to add the reds and the blues and give you a little grounding energy. And again, I'm just going to run all of them for 30 seconds. Okay, so this this one you're at 22%, but that's still considered good. I don't know if that had any additional effect on you or not, but we could just see what it's. Okay, and look, it's looking better and better every time. It's getting much brighter and much clearer. I mean, it's still a little fuzzy, but it looks a huge improvement to me from the beginning. And even this looks much better. Look at all this pretty purple color coming in and in the four corners. And here it's a little bit dirty, but it looks much better. Do you is it still a 3 out of 10 or any change since we ran the last few?
The pain, I want to say, is probably about maybe a 2, but I do feel better. It's beautiful. Thank you, Denise. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you too. I'm so glad you're feeling better. It always brightens my day when you can help people and make them feel better. So I hope everybody enjoyed this. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, but thank you, everybody. It was so good to be back to see you all on Zoom. And again, remember, it is monthly now. So it will be the first Thursday of the month at this Zoom channel. So please come back. I can't wait to see you. And there will be a replay on this. So for anyone that missed it, you can catch it on the replay. And thank you, Jennifer, for being a volunteer. And Claire, thank you as always for assisting on the chats.
Denise, where do you find the replay?
It will be on YouTube. It will be posted on YouTube. It takes a little bit for the buffering and everything, so maybe it'll be posted tomorrow, but it will be up.
And do we need to update to that Apple? Because my Genius is not working. Or upgrade to the Apple, the new one, the new app?
It's not a mandatory upgrade.
It won't let me do anything, but I'll figure it out. I'll call Michaela or something. It's not allowing me in.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I'm not sure why, but let me just stop the recording here. Anyway, thank you everybody for coming. I just want to give a formal goodbye as I sign off, and we will see you next month.
Thank you. And Denise,